Hi Stampers and Crafters, it's Rachel here from rachthestamper.wordpress.com, and today I thought I would share another idea I have for some people that might still have some April paper pumpkins left. And in case you forgot, that was the wreath that you wrapped all these little green leaves around, and it seems a lot of people had trouble with that one, myself included. I thought of a alternate project immediately and never actually made the wreath. So I had seen a few cards on Pinterest that used the little leaves and made them into cactus. So I thought this would be perfect to pair with the Birthday Fiesta stamp set. Actually, the bundle, really, because that's in the new catalog on page 11. So these are the stamps, and then it comes with a whole bunch of framelits that match. Cactus, and oh, there's so many really cute pieces in here. It's hard to stop. The designer series paper is just gorgeous. It's a really fun stamp set. I like this one so much. I have a hard time not using it. Let's put it that way. So what I thought is I could show you another card that I thought would be fun. I'd kind of thought of the cactus idea, but then I thought, why not add in everybody else? So this is the card that I have designed. Isn't that just the cutest thing? So I have the cactus in the background and the llama. And these are the front cactus. And then I added this banner. We used a little bit of designer series paper as the background. And then I really took it another step, and I even finished the inside because this it's like crepe paper. It's so cute. And then I just used two of the same pieces of designer series paper. So this is front and back, and I just made 2 layers. You could absolutely make this narrower. We could even move it down a notch if we wanted to, or completely cover the end here. But I thought this was such a fun birthday card. And so cute. I mean, how could you not love this? I did add a lot of Wink of Stella. I have Wink of Stella on the flowers. I put some on the cactus. I think that's it. But I kind of got a little crazy. Oh, and the other thing I did was I sponged the edges of the next layer of cactus with garden green. So let me show you how to get this card. And actually, the other thing you should remember is you can make this as detailed or not. So if you really don't want these extra cacti, however you say it, plural, you don't have to put them in there. You could just put the front in. You could trim this so these little pieces, instead of having the grass, is kind of what I went for. So he was hiding behind it. You could just put these on there instead, just singularly, and add the flowers. But I think the flowers really give it the touch of the cactus feel. So let's get started. We'll make ours a little bit different. So what we're going to use, I did use the triple banner punch to do the Fiesta banner, so keep that in mind. But besides that, I used a bunch of the framelits and a bunch of the stamps from this set. So instead of doing red, on this one we will do it in Tangerine Tango. Yeah, why not? Because that's another fun color. I think that color, I love those Melon Mambo, Tangerine Tango, and I think I use Crushed Curry and the Pacific Point. They're just such fun Fiesta colors to me. So that's why I picked those specific colors. All right, so we're going to trim our cardstock. Again, we'll make this so it's a vertical open card. You can make it any way you want. You could even make it so it was like this instead. You just would need a longer strip. So make sure if you do make it that way, you have a longer strip of the cactus to use. But we're going to cut this. So this is a full piece. We're going to cut this at 4 1/4. And then we're going to score it at 5 1/2. Oops, let's get that out of the way. Okay, and then we're going to need a piece of Whisper White for the inside, and I already have that cut, so that's 4 by 5 1/4. That's going to go on the inside. And then we're going to, while we're at it, we're going to cut our designer series paper for the background. So I thought what we could use, I love this. I really love this. It just reminds me of a blanket. It's so pretty. So we're going to cut this while we're at it, just to have it. And I think, I'm trying to think which will look better. Lengthwise, I think will be better. So we're going to have this at 5 1/4. What I find is if you put the mark down here, so 5 1/4, and you cut over here to 4, maybe I'm not the first person to think of this, but I don't know, maybe it just took me longer. And then you move this part now to the 4, and you cut to 5 1/4, it should pop right out. So that'll be our top piece. And then while we're at it, we're going to just cut a piece for the inside of the card. So what we'll do is we'll use this and the pink. So pink and orange will be really pretty together. So it's up to you. The first one I think I did on this one, I did this at 1 1/4 inches, and then this one was 1/4 inch. So I'm going to just do this one instead. This is just going to be 1 inch, and I'll cut that by, let's see, 4 1/4. Am I right there? Yeah, 1 inch by 4 1/4. We'll make this one so it goes all the way across. And then we'll use this as our other side. So we'll do this one at a 1/2 inch. And this will be 4 1/4 as well. So now we'll move this down to 4 1/4 and cut across, and it should pop right out. Okay, and you know what? Let me make sure this is a straight piece. That was a little silly. Let's see. We'll just trim this one off right here. So if this is a little uneven, we can always hide it underneath. So that's going to be all the Designer Series paper we're going to use. Pretty much the rest of everything is going to be stamping. So what we're going to do, a couple of these I did already do because I didn't want you to have to suffer watching me do this. So this will be for the inside, this will be for the outside. So what I did was I did go ahead and stamp a llama onto a piece of Very Vanilla, and I stamped him in Early Espresso. I stamped 2 cactus, and I stamped 3 flowers. So a little bit less of things you have to painfully watch me do. But what I did do with this is I used the Crumb Cake, but this time we'll use Sahara Sand. And I just filled in this little guy a little bit. But before I get ahead of myself, I'm going to give him a little bit of a, oh goodness, a blanket. Sheesh. Long day. Okay, so the nice thing about these photopolymer stamps is you can see right where you want to stamp. So don't mind my head for a second. So you just stamp that right there. Okay, just like that. And then what I did is I went ahead with, on this one here, I just went ahead with my markers and kind of filled in the colors a little bit. So we'll do the same thing again. I just kind of put a little bit of dots in a couple spots. Put one in the center. And then we'll get out, that was real red, sorry. And then we'll get out some pumpkin pie. Actually, let me do this with the thin one. And we'll just do some squigglies. It just gave it a slight bit of visual interest. You don't have to do that part if you don't want. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take this Sahara Sand stamp pad. We're going to squeeze it together to get that little pool. And I have my Aqua Painter. I'm going to just pick up a little bit of color here and just kind of fill him in a little bit. You don't want to squeeze terribly because you don't want this super duper wet, more just to distribute the color. You could also use your blender pens instead for this if you want. On the other guy, I also gave him his little harness, but we'll let this one be a free range llama. So he won't have a harness on. Okay. And you just want to make sure you clean that off. So you can either squeeze into this, since we're not going to be using it anymore. All it's going to do is add a little bit of water, and then it'll get slurped back up the next time you squeeze it. Alright, so to assemble this card, let's go ahead and put these pieces down. So I just did this. I've been trying to use the fast fuse a little bit more. I'm going to use it for the next part. Just because actually, getting ahead of myself. Hang on one second. Let me just do my bone folder here. There we go. I've been trying to use my fast fuse a little bit more, just to give it a try, because I know I'm going to be doing some projects coming up soon. Oh gosh, I just put that on the wrong side. Well, there you go. See, we can flip it. Wasn't paying attention. I put it on the inside instead of the outside, so I just flipped it over. So this will now be the outside, that'll be the inside. No big deal whatsoever. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to put our cactus down. Again, I just used some snail. So this is really quick for me doing it because I cut a lot of the stuff ahead of time. And what I did was I just cut it all at the same time. That way I would have extra. So put this up here. And where's my Stella? I'm going to put a little bit more Stella on this one. It just kind of gives it a little bit of a zip when you see it in person. And we're going to put our little llama friend right here. So we'll do the same thing with him. We'll just use a little bit of snail. Okay. Just make sure I don't rip him. There we go. And then what I did when I used these, so you can see this one is a little bit shorter. So what I'm going to probably do is use 2 pieces just to fill it in. So we might actually go with this one on this side. And then since there's a piece here, fill it in this way instead. So what I did was I first put dimensionals on the top pieces. And then I put dimensionals on the bottom. But the other thing I did, again, this is garden green. I just went over the tops just a little bit with the sponge just to give a little bit of extra dimension. And you certainly aren't going to see it on all of them because we're covering some of them with flowers, but I thought it was fun. And then I kind of just stamped the top of all of them. Alright, so let's flip these guys over. And I'm going to put a dimensional onto the more fat pieces. And let's see. So this one's pretty skinny. So since he's going to be on the end, I am going to put a dimensional on him. I don't know how far over I'm going to go. So right now I'm going to just go to the 3rd one and stop. Okay, and then I'm going to peel this adhesive off. I'm not going to do this one yet. And then what I did is, if you have the strips, the foam strips, you could use those. But if not, I just trimmed these. And I put them right on here. Oops. Just press down. Because I just wanted to give a whole another layer of dimension with these. And we'll put one more up here. Alright, and you know what, I'm going to put one more teeny one over here on the end. Just so this doesn't rip. Okay. So, let me just peel the backing off of these. And then we'll get to assembling this and decide where we want to put our flowers and how much extra stuff we need. The key when you're doing this, just FYI, is to not rip these little leaves off because they are quite delicate, especially when you have a lot of dimensionals and different levels of adhesion going on. And the other thing is, you could totally skip this step if you wanted to and just put a little bit of snail on the back of each of these little leaves and just use the strip that's on the back to hold it in place. So you don't have to even do any of these extra dimensionals. I'm crazy. Alright, so there's one. We'll just push the guys down that have adhesive. And then it looks like we're only going to need a little bit of a strip here. So I'm going to just eyeball this. I'm going to cut it right past this guy here. Okay. And again, I'm going to just peel this thing off. I'm going to peel off this 3M stuff is really sticky. And I'm going to just put a teeny piece of a dimensional there just to keep it up. And what I did on the other one is I just kind of, at the end, I just smushed it down so it would, so you can see here's flat, up, flat. So we'll just do the same thing here. And then what we can do is you can either wrap it or trim it, your choice. I'm just going to wrap this one just so this little piece doesn't go anywhere. Okay, so now we're going to add our flowers. And I did put a dimensional onto these little flowers that I stamped. I stamped one in Melon Mambo, one in Pumpkin Pie, and one in Crushed Curry. I thought those were really pretty colors, the 3 of them together, and they kind of go with everything in the set. This set is super fun. You could also do one in Pacific Point, Tempting Turquoise. Yeah, we'll put one right over here, kind of in the middle. That's cute. Okay, there we go. So that's all we have for that. And then the other thing we're going to do is we're going to stamp our greeting. And we're going to also stamp the Fiesta like there's no tomorrow. So let's do that. And instead of doing it in real red, we'll do this one Pacific Point. Because I think this color goes really nicely as well. Okay. And I'm going to do it this way. Just give it a little bit of an edge so I can show you how I trim this off if you have one that you don't exactly know what to do. All right, let me just make sure I don't screw this up. I'm going to leave this out for a minute. So what I did is I took this and I decided this was going to be the flag end, which isn't huge, but it's enough. So I trimmed it straight off, and then I kind of trimmed it slightly even. And you could do it with your scissors if you want. That's another perfectly viable option. But what I do is when I flag these, what I tend to do is flip them upside down. So depending on if they're not exactly an inch, I can see where the words are. So if you can see there, let me just make sure. You can see that the words are peeking through there. So I just kind of back it out to the edge and eyeball it. That's it. So that's good enough. It probably is even the tiniest bit crooked. So we can just go ahead and trim that off, try to make it straighter. But I don't usually fool with it too much because then it becomes more noticeable. And what we're going to do is we're going to take, is this Melon Mambo? Yes, our Melon Mambo marker, because I find this works better than sponging it. And I just open it up to the brush tip. And I just run my marker along. You can make it as fat or as thin as you like. You can also do this very easily if you take your paper and you dip it into the ink pad, but the only problem is you can't really do the flagged parts, so that's why I'm using my marker for this one. Okay, so we're going to just put this down with Snail. Okay, and we'll put that right up there. Okay, now the only other thing we have to do is finish the inside. So for the inside, what I did was I would highly recommend not doing this until, or not taping it down until you do what you want to do. So I took the, what did I do with my stamp set? Here it is. I took this little decorative ribbon here and I just inked it up in a couple different colors and stamped it. So just kind of goes in a little bit of an arch if it's going to look like crepe paper. It doesn't have to be specific. So we will do, how about if we do real red? And since I have it out, we'll go ahead and do Pacific Point, real red, and crushed curry. That'll look pretty together. Okay, so there's Pacific Point. All right, I'm going to clean these off in between because I don't want to ruin my pads. And Melon Mambo. And I kind of inked up almost the whole thing just because I wasn't quite sure where I was going to sit it. So when you press, just make sure you press just on the image so you don't get all that ink there. Good. And one more. Get these two out of the way. Let's go with, yeah, crushed curry will be pretty. So we'll do crushed curry for the last one. Okay. All right, not exactly where I wanted that last one. I would have liked it a little bit offset, but that's okay. No problem. Now the only other thing we're going to do, and I did this in black because I thought it really made it stand out. I did the wishing you the happiest of birthdays, but you could do this in black with your marker and then color the flowers in different colors if you wanted to, or have the flowers be like red and yellow and then do this green, green and black, but I thought this really stood out doing it in the Archival Black, so that's why I went with this. Okay, let's see. And that is also why I stamped on top of everything, because it was a pretty dark black. This is a really nice, true black color, this Archival ink. It is one of my favorite inks to use. I was having a lot of trouble with the StazOn, and this has kind of become my new favorite. Okay, so there we have that. And let's just put our final piece down. So what we're going to do is we were going to do a cross. So we're going to put this down first. So this is going to be our, is that the way I wanted it? No, I wanted it like that. So we're going to put this one behind and then the pink in front. Okay, but what we're going to do is ours is going to go all the way across this time instead. So we're going to go ahead and put some, I'm going to use the Fast Fuse. And in case you are having trouble with your Fast Fuse, like I was, The key to it is a really light hand. I was pressing way too hard. And every time it was always getting all goobered up in the top there. So once I started pressing lighter, I didn't have that problem at all. So same thing again, we're going to just use the fast fuse. Oop. Hang on, technical difficulty. Why you shouldn't be... Oh, hold on. Let me just get this off. Give me 1 second. I just want to find a clean finger. It's going to be covered, but I don't want any goobers under there. Okay, so we're going that and that. Just put a piece here. Now it's not going to work because I got it jammed up. So again, you just have to roll it forward to catch the new feed. And very light. Okay, so what I did on this one is I didn't really press it down at first. I just sat it there to make sure it was where I wanted it. And I want to get the rest of this tape to the back. There we go. Okay, and then this. So I'm going to bring this down just a shade. Just like that. Got a little bit of ink there because I didn't clean up something earlier, but no worries. Okay, so there you go. So, another Fiesta birthday card. I think these are so fun and cute. And again, another way to get rid of all those extra leaves if you have them. Let me just fold this since I had to flip it the other way. Way to get rid of those little extra leaves if you still have them from the April paper pumpkin. I could make a million of these because I didn't make my wreath, as I said, but I think these are absolutely adorable. Another way to incorporate them into with the Fiesta, like there's no manana. I mean, this is such a fun birthday card. You cannot beat this. It's awesome. I really love this set. One of my really all-time favorites. Well, if you haven't already, please be sure to check out my blog, rachthestamper.wordpress.com. Through July 25th, we're running a blog hop. If you leave your comment plus hashtag Stamp It contest, you'll be entered to win. There are 10 blog hoppers, so that's 10 chances to win. Also, if you'd like to get any of these supplies and more, you can go to my online store, which is rachthestamper.stampinup.net. There's a lot of really great specials going on right now. For every $50 you spend, you will get a $5 credit to purchase something in August. So that's one that's really cool going on now. Plus, we'll be having some new fall catalogs with Christmas and Thanksgiving and Halloween coming out very soon as well. So if you don't have a current catalog, if you spend $50 in my online store, I will send you one absolutely free. If you have any questions, please shoot me an email at rachthestamper@gmail.com, or you can leave me a comment at rachthestamper.wordpress.com. And if you haven't yet, be sure to follow me on YouTube at Rach the Stamper. Thanks for taking time to watch. I really appreciate it. And I'd love to know what you guys think of this. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a great day.